Hope you guys are enjoying the episode. Just over a year ago, I started using a TRT service, and it's made my life so much better. Before, I was suffering with low mood, low libido, and low energy. And because of my own personal journey, I've decided to invest into Manual, one of the UK's leading TRT and weight loss services. If you wish to find out more about what they do and how they could potentially help you, then head to manual.co/Smith. And there'll also be a link below right in the description. Right, let's get back to the episode. You touched on something there that I want to ask, and it feels weird. I hope my mum and dad aren't listening. Masturbation in a healthy relationship.
Yeah. Would you recommend? I'm a woman, so I'm slightly different. So you tell me, what do you think?
Well, sometimes I think it feel like a stigma or a taboo, or let's say you've got a busy social calendar or something.
Yeah.
You might be horny or whatever. You might have a shower. I think, again, men like to think that they're the wankers and that their partners are not participating in masturbation.
Yeah.
But the more you get to know and be intimate with someone, you realize it's almost, again, like another 50-50 thing.
Yeah.
But would you say there's almost a stigma between people in a relationship? Probably the only thing they might keep from each other is when they are maybe masturbating.
Yeah, my only advice with that, because I'm conservative, so myself, I'm a bit of a loser. But the rest of the world, of course, I understand that they masturbate and they do all of these things. But what I would say is, as long as your body doesn't get used to your hand more than human connection, you're okay. And what I mean by that is some people, men and women, they spend so much time pleasuring themselves that a partner's body parts can't do it for them anymore, because hands feel nothing like vaginas and toys feel nothing like penises, or they develop a detachment from the real body part, and therefore it makes climaxing and actual intimacy harder to achieve. So I would say that do what you got to do, but if your body starts getting used to a different sensation to your woman or to your man, you might be desensitizing yourself to real intimacy. Is your relationship still falling apart despite all your attempts to learn about relationships, go to therapy, work on yourself, and yet you can't seem to maintain your relationship? It's because your therapist is not telling you about the red flags that you ignored. If you want to know exactly how to improve your relationships or how to spot the problems in the future, then you need to click a link below and work with me one-to-one, where you'll be able to get years of therapy in just 1 hour.
There's an issue with bodybuilders where they take a lot of testosterone, they get very horny, and they start masturbating a lot. For whatever, I'm not going to these dosages. I'm curious, but they then will use lots of porn and desensitize.
Right.
But the thing is that I've heard in these kind of like forums and feedbacks is they start having to watch more and more extreme porn to the fact that what gets them off having a wank is then something they can't facilitate in a relationship.
Yeah.
Now, straight away we look at men and we go, oh, that's really bad. But then, like you say there, for women, the sex toy epidemic, you say a hand could do a good job. I would argue a hand would be never as good as having sex with a woman. But these sex toys, they can do things, vibrations, frequencies. They can do things that a hand could never do. So sometimes I'm looking and thinking, men have got options. Yeah, sure, they might be doing deviant things on a work laptop. But then women have got options. If you ever go into a sex shop, which I would only do rarely if you're in Amsterdam, you smoked a joint or whatever, how can I compete? This is battery powered.
Oh my! And so then, what do men do in those circumstances?
Well, I think that maybe the technology isn't here, whether it would be or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think just because of the anatomy, I think that maybe, and again, I can't speak on behalf of women, there are some women out there that might have such a good sex toy or almost a relationship with the sex toy, because it will become, oh, if I have a stressful day at work, I'm going to go home, glass of wine, cigarette, have my vibrator or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's going to come a point that maybe, and again, this is only my observer brain saying it, that they'll have an intimate night with a man and go, that was nothing like my ability to use a toy.
And then what the cycle of that is because she can't, climax in sex or whatever it is, he feels a bit emasculated, so they end up having no intimacy at all, the two of them. And then she's shocked when he has an affair. She's shocked that he's gone to somebody else. And it's like, but when you deprive the partner of intimacy, because either of you, either he's going to porn or she's going to toys, how dare you be shocked that they're going to cheat? What else are they going to do? And I know that sounds terrible and people get annoyed by that, but the reality, they're like, yeah, but you can just leave. But no, sometimes you have kids, sometimes you have a mortgage, sometimes you love your partner, sometimes you actually like that life. But if they deprive that one ingredient that you've said, only you can have with me and I'm not going to give it to you, then of course they're going to cheat. So I think the more you desensitize yourself and the more you remove intimacy from your partner, you have to then just accept cheating that might happen. You have to accept it. Because I'll have men that watch porn rather than touch their wives, and they'll go years without touching their wives, months, years without touching their wife. And then when she cheats, they're all upset about it. And I'm like, what did you... Tell me what your mind was telling you. Or women, maybe after kids, which I understand, it's very difficult after kids, but after kids or with toys, they deprive their partner of intimacy. No problem, but then just expect them to cheat. And the only men that don't cheat when you deprive them of intimacy are men you're not attracted to. the ones with low testosterone, the ones that will just be yes or no, those men won't cheat when you deprive them of intimacy. But a real red-blooded testosterone-filled man, if you don't give him intimacy for months and months and months, he will cheat.
Funny you say testosterone. So I got a reading of low testosterone about a year and a half ago, started TRT. The craziest, hardest thing for me.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you, but was there a reason for that? Just so I understand what
So
causes.
libido was one of the main ones.
Okay.
And I haven't been that open about this, but it kind of got me, the word I would say is wigging out, because you start to question your relationship. So it never
Yeah.
occurred to me that it was my testosterone levels. My libido had kind of fallen off a cliff, and I thought, is it because we live together? Is this what a long-term relationship's like? For someone that never been in a relationship this long.
And sorry, you're also a dopamine addict. Novelty
So
is,
then I was starting to think, is it this? Then I was thinking, oh, have I maxed out? Because I'd never been in a relationship more than 2 years. And at this
Yeah.
point, my partner and I had been, or my fiance and I had been together like 3 years. So I was thinking, is this where it ends? Is this, I'm having all these horrible thoughts. Then the more I would think about the fact we'd gone 2 or 3 days without sex, that would then make me stressed. And if I was stressed about it, then it was a self-perpetuating cycle of
Yeah.
worrying. And worrying is not a good place to be in when you want to be horny or have sex.
Yeah.
Then there would be the pressure in my mind, and it would be a stress pressure that was building up the longer we didn't have sex, which then made me not want to do it more. And it was so funny. I tried peptides, I tried weight loss, I tried all of these things. Then when I started using the TRT service, I was back. I was like, it was
feels
20
amazing.
again.
It
But
feels.
it wasn't even how I felt that was the best thing. It was our sex life.
Yeah.
And all of those doubts and worries that I'd had, that it was me that was broken, it was the relationship that was broken, that I would never be suited in a monogamous relationship, all of those things
Yeah.
was gone. And the relief I got from that, the amount of
Oh.
stress that was gone from that.
Aren't we so lucky to live in a time where we can get that, like treatment and stuff? And
But I was
everything?
stigmatized for it. And people said to me, oh, you were too young, you were 34. I was like, bro, I would be at my desk worried about the fact I wasn't horny, which made me less horny.
Yeah.
And
But can I ask? This is before kids, and it just.
actually, my partner or my fiance had just fallen pregnant.
Yeah, because as women get pregnant, men will see a drop in their testosterone. Yeah, and it's actually it can be permanent. If you live and you become a carer of children, it's actually evolutionary programmed in men to see a drop in their testosterone to make sure that they stay in the home and they don't, sleep around so much and then lose their kin. So it's actually an evolved trait to keep them a bit in the home.
But I tell you what is I agree with that. The counterpoint to that is what I love is having high testosterone and being more horny has actually, when I had low testosterone and I had low libido, that was making me worry that I was with the wrong person.
Right.
So it was actually, if anything, not making me seek other options,
Yeah,
but it was
your
making me
eyes
worry
open.
about it.
Yeah.
Now that my libido is back to probably the best it's ever been, that's made me more certain than ever that I'm with the right person. So it's counterintuitive in my mind.
The reason why it would make you monogamous in that case is because when you were looking at other women, you were trying to find out a way to say, it can't be my dick, that can't be the problem. Maybe it's just the woman is a problem. So that's why you see a lot of men do cheat when they have low testosterone and they can't get aroused with this, then they worry a little bit. So they just want to restore their confidence by saying, it's not me, it was our relationship. But it helped, it really helped getting that. But do you know what was causing the drop? Is there anything just so that, because sometimes men come to me with this low testosterone and I worry for them, but I don't actually know what would be the exact cause and solution.
So I would say potentially age,
Okay.
potentially abusing anabolic steroids when I was younger.
Okay.
So there was a time that in a bid to try and fit in with the fitness industry, I blasted pretty heavy. So it's gear cycles. And I was open about that the whole time. And it didn't make me any better at rugby. Just made me get out of breath more running around. Stress.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't say that I'm a stressful person. I would say I'm quite laid back.
Right.
But dopamine junkie, maybe neurodiverse, it's cool to have ADHD now. Everybody's got it.
Yeah.
But I actually, first of all, started therapy.
Yep.
Hated it.
Yeah.
Had an ADHD assessment. So these were all the things I did before
Yeah.
checking my blood work, which was crazy.
It's the wrong
So
way
I'm
around.
in having an assessment. I've got these nodes on my head. I'm looking at a painting. Then they made me do a maths quiz. Then I had to close my eyes. And my brain was most overactive and my eyes were closed.
Right.
I had to do all the assessments. And by the end of it, they were like, there's a fairly certain chance you're ADHD. Didn't want the medication.
Right.
So I tried literally everything apart from, if my friend had sat in front of me, I go, bro, you should probably get your testosterone checked.
Yeah.
But not me. I was like, no, I'm a man. I haven't got low T.
It's usually the first thing I say to men because their behaviors, something's wrong. And usually it's because look, there's no other way to say it, but when you don't want to have intimacy with your wife, she feels horrendous. She just feels horrendous. And a lot of men are like, she should understand that I've got this stress and that stress. There's nothing I can do about it. They just feel ugly. They will literally feel hideous because we are used to being like told, especially on movies and stuff like that men want it all the time. And we're told that all the time. And we see men always grabbing women and this, that, and the other. So when we have to approach a man and he says, no, we're just thinking, well, we know it's not men's fault. It must be me. So they internalize that really badly and it really affects their confidence. Like they get anxious, depressed, they get violent. I've seen women literally get violent with men for not sleeping with them.
Well, I could see this in
Yeah.
real life because, let's say we were both naked in the bedroom together at the same time and then I left. I know that would have been a usual opportunity. So then I'm going downstairs, I'm thinking about it. I can't even work. So there was that stress. There was also the stress of my fiance being pregnant. So I was like, I'm about to have a child.
Yeah.
My life's about to change. My career.
Sorry, was it planned or?
No.
Oh, amazing. All
So,
right. Well,
but
now
then-
amazing, but at the time it wasn't. Okay.
But then when we found out, I was like, oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
It was
beautiful.
cool. And I think it was another thing that I just maybe not considered. Then stress is in, I'm in a position in my career where I think a lot of us are in this situation where we know if we don't get the next 3-4 years right, we could be fucked. And it sounds really, really bad, but I think we're all there. We're all thinking the same thing. I think anyone that says any different, anyone that goes, I'm thinking of taking the next year off, you go, you're an idiot. Then another thing, again, would be I got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at 28, which is quite late for it. I love the sport. Training is the only time my mind is quiet. So if I need to have mindfulness, I'll have a nap. It's the only time my brain was shut off.
Right.
Jiu-Jitsu and sleeping. So I'm constantly in a state of overtraining.
Right.
If I have a day off where I don't train, the only thing that this is why I love to drink is my main value is productivity because if I don't eat well today, I don't care.
Yeah.
If I don't train today, I won't care that much. If I don't get shit done today, I'm an asshole to be around. Because I feel like I've just wasted a day.
Yeah.
I haven't got the dopamine I need from ticking off tasks. So the stress hit me in maybe like 4 or 5 areas. And I think stress would have been the main thing that lowered my testosterone. And if you'd said you can do less, that would have mean I would have lowered my stress to reduce my mental health at the same time.
And do you know, like, because young men are taking Viagra more than ever before, does that affect their testosterone later on in life or their erections later on in life?
I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
Not that I know objectively.
Okay. Me
because
neither. I don't know
It's a
objectively.
vasoconstrictor, vasodilator. So actually, men on TRT now take a small dose of tadalafil every day for cardiovascular and prostate health.
Okay.
But I don't take it because that with TRT will make me like a bit of a sex fiend at home. And it's more that I know I've taken tadalafil.
Oh, okay. So you don't.
So I'm at my desk, I'm like, let's have sex instead.
Okay.
And then it's like a productivity
So,
issue.
you know.
So
And so then what's a natural way of enhancing testosterone? Because I think people would be surprised considering you're so active and you're so busy and you're so fulfilled. For you to see a drop in testosterone, I mean, they kind of assume a low testosterone man is that guy that lives in his mom's basement and just it doesn't work out. What could be a natural way to enhance testosterone? Do you know?
don't work so much.
Okay.
Don't worry so much. Sleep more. Don't train so much. Like jiu-jitsu. Grappling is quite intensive.
What would you worry about?
My future, my life.
Okay.
Like, and again, I would say my motivation mechanisms are a little bit fucked. Through having attention difficulties, I have to create like a really negative outcome in the future to motivate myself.
Okay.
So if I don't get this stuff done, I'll lose the home. My child will be homeless. My partner will leave me.
Worst case scenarios.
Yeah, that gets me going in the morning.
Okay.
So I'll wake up, I'll open one eye, okay, I'll have a little bit of lay-in. But then when it hits 7:30, I'm like, get up or you lose everything. That's what gets me going in the morning.
And does it ever paralyze you when you overthink about the worst case scenario, or just
No,
okay,
it works.
It
And
works
it's
for you.
been a pretty chaotic motivational system my whole life.
Okay.
I would say I catastrophized my future to get immediate action now.
And that hasn't caused any anxiety along time. Okay, perfect.
I did get a bit anxious when I had low test.
Oh yes, of course.
And it was actually only one of my business partners that said to me, when I started treatment, he was like, you're so much less anxious. I was like, I wasn't anxious. He goes, I could see from the way you were messaging me, the things we were talking about.
Yeah.
He was, I was portraying things, but the craziest thing is, I never saw it myself. Even now, I only looking back in hindsight, I'm like,
Because they're linked testosterone, as your testosterone rises, and if the cortisol drops, you'll be fine. But if the cortisol is high and testosterone is low, you're an anxious person. You become like a woman, like anxious about everything.
There was another thing as well, which is a bit of a weird one. I don't know if many other people experience this. So one of the big defining moments of my early 30s was I'm going to buy a house. And I bought my dream house on the beach, got a dog, dream everything.
Yeah.
But I've never been in debt my whole life. So then every morning I wake up and I hate debt.
Yeah.
Never used a credit card.
So this is a mortgage debt?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So normal.
But like, it's considered normal.
Normal debt.
But then seeing that amount of money, like, I'm paying it down as fast as I can.
Yeah.
But then that depresses me because the government get half. Anyway, so
Mm.
now this is another thing that people go, oh, you bought £1 million house. It costs 2 million because you've got to give half to the government every time you put it out.
Mm.
Didn't think of that when I bought it. Anyway, so every day that I would see my bank account, I'd be like, I can't relax.
No.
I've got hundreds of thousands of pounds to pay off.
Mm.
So that to me, where most people go, that's normal,
Yeah.
I couldn't relax.
So what's been the solution?
I'm paying it down. I'm going to be
Yeah.
mortgage free 20 years before I need to be.
Oh, inshallah.
But this is
probably.
stress that I'm
Yeah.
creating that I
Yeah.
don't need.
Right.
And that's because of my motivational mechanisms that I
Yeah.
think of it. God, I feel like I'm in a therapy session. I'm
I'm
loving
so
it.
sorry.
No, but like,
Yeah.
I think it's good because if people could potentially maybe see me as someone that has it together,
Yeah.
and I can say to them that I don't,
Mhm.
I'm sane.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have a fucked up way of being motivated.
Mhm.
I'm chaotic. I'm disorganized. I'm motivated but disorganized.
Mhm.
And I know that definitely played an impact. And the idea for me was, do I sort out my life
Mhm.
or and do less? But doing less is never an option for me.
Right.
I've got too much I want to accomplish.
Mhm.
Whether or not I'll ever be happy with that, that'll be another whole podcast altogether.
Mhm.
And I was like, I'm going to try testosterone. And when I started taking testosterone, I felt so much better.
Oh,
And
perfect.
it almost, I almost kind of feel like I'm cheating the system a bit.
Yeah.
Which in some ways I am.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting thing. The people that fucking hate it the most are people with really good genetics.
Yes, but genetics plays a big role in testosterone.
But I mean,
Yeah.
so let's say the dudes,
Mm.
6 foot, chisel,
Yeah.
eat what they want, you know, and the gods.
Yeah.
They then see guys with mid-rigs getting jacked to 36.
Yeah.
They hate it because they feel like they're being threatened.
Yeah.
Because their status is a bit like,
Natural.
if you're wealthy and all your mates get a pay rise, you're like, fucking hell.
Yeah, and because I remember, like, I said something about Manjaro or Ozempic, and I had this really handsome, tall, musty guy that I know, and he's like, "No, you shouldn't encourage people to take that. You should never encourage anyone." Blah, blah. I'm like, but some people are literally, they can't kickstart it. They literally, I can tell them to have self-control. I can tell them, but they're not going to do it. So he's 43 years old. He's never done it yet. I don't mind somebody taking that one step if it then leads to kickstarts their healthy lifestyle. But when you're naturally attractive or naturally in shape, you can't understand it. But for some people, they do need these shortcuts.
So here's the problem as well.
Yeah.
The majority of personal trainers
Mhm.
are people that are exactly that,
Mhm.
naturally look a good way.
Yeah.
Not all of them,
Not
most
all of them. Yeah, yeah.
So they've never really struggled with their food. They've
Yeah.
never really struggled with their physique, which actually makes them the least qualified to do their job.
And
But they get the job because they fucking look good.
yeah.
And if you make it to 24 and you're in fucking good shape and you haven't got a good job, hey mate, you should be a PT.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got that. Then like you say, I didn't like the fat loss drugs.
Mhm.
And I remember put a video out, don't take Ozempic, and a comment, really kind comment, James, love your stuff, you're wrong about this.
Mhm.
So I was like, fuck this guy, I'm going to prove him wrong.
Mhm.
Took semaglutide, took Manjaro. I was like, holy fuck.
Game changer.
And this is probably the beautiful part of it that I see. And again, if people hate this, if it saves one person's life, it's worth it.
Mhm.
When someone is really overweight, depressed, feels shit about themselves,
Mhm.
their first day of motivation starts at their worst.
Mhm.
If you give someone something like Manjaro or weight loss medication and they lose 50 kilograms, they go from 140 to 90. Now, the day they stop pinning or taking the pen,
Mhm.
their motivation starts at their leanest, their healthiest. They're more
Absolutely.
inclined to train, they're more inclined to go to
It's
the gym, whatever it
amazing.
is. Some of those people never go back
Yeah.
because they now have seen, they've got a taste of their future. Some people will go back over a year, some people go back over 3 years, whatever it is. But I think it's such a beautiful opportunity to get someone to be motivated at the point that they're in the best place,
Yeah.
rather than being at the worst place.